And we are back after the long summer break. We talk about the American takeover of Formula One, but we won't truly have taken over this sport, Patrick, until we end this ridiculous 4-week summer break. Make it just
Get
1
back
week.
to work.
Exactly. Make it 1 week, and you got to check your mail every day. That's a proper vacation. That's a proper summer vacation. All right, son, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Hello, welcome to Hard Compound, the American take on Formula One, with your host, Brian and Patrick. We just finished the Dutch Grand Prix, Zandvoort. Bit of a middling track, but an interesting race. Maybe a championship-defining race. We had a few battles, some surprise double points teams, shocking double DNFs, and one very big DNF, Lando Norris, that could potentially define this season. All right, Patrick, son, what's your analysis of the Dutch Grand Prix? Oh, and your top five.
And my top five. Yeah, I mean, this was, like you said, a bit of a middling track. Honestly, they need to get rid of it. It shouldn't be on the calendar. It's boring. It's dumb. It's a crappy track. Nobody can pass.
Right.
It's basically Monaco, but in a shittier place. I mean, I don't know who designed it, but it was not for these cars. Basically, it forced bad moves and decisions by drivers, i.e. Leclerc on Russell, Sainz on Lawson, Antonelli on Leclerc. I mean, all of these things caused crashes that didn't need to happen. But the only reason they happened was because there's literally no opportunity to pass unless you force yourself through. I mean, Leclerc was stuck behind a fucking Racing Bulls for half the race until he was unceremoniously taken out by Antonelli. It's just kind of a ridiculous thing to watch, right? Where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, another race where unless craziness ensues, which it did, admittedly, the top 10 are going to finish in the order that they started in. And so, I don't know. I just think like half of this race was boring because nothing happened because nothing could happen. And then it being the first race back, I think, after the long summer break, I think drivers just got antsy and they just started doing crazy stuff and running into people. So it was, I don't know. I guess it ended up being kind of interesting. A lot of stuff happened, obviously. But I think the race itself was kind of boring.
Yeah. Didn't Austin Powers say he hated the Dutch? And this is probably why, right?
Yeah. Well, so, yeah, I don't know. If you like kind of the will they, won't they? I don't know. I guess it's suspenseful and kind of fun. But it's always they won't. So it's just kind of, you already know what the outcome is. Either they won't or it will end up in somebody's ending up in the wall.
Right. Let's take the best drivers in the world, give them the best cars in the world, and put them on this crappy track, Well, it's going to be like ridiculous and or mayhem.
Yeah, I think that is one of the issues maybe with the current cars is they can follow very closely, but they need a very large speed delta to pass, and they need generally quite a long straight in order to kind of make that overtake happen. And this track doesn't really have that, right? It's quite kind of consistently windy, and it's just a difficult place to overtake. There were some kind of, I don't want to say good ones, but like, some good efforts. I think, Leclerc on Russell, that was kind of a clever move. I'm not sure that he really pulled it off, but I like that the stewards kind of let it go. We're like, yeah, all right. You need to force your way through at some point.
Let them race, yeah. I also think that's a good point about what it takes to pass because, this is the final year of these regulations. And these regulations, an explicit core element of them was how do we get the cars able to get closer to one another? What do we got to do to get rid of the dirty air? What do we need to do to make sure these cars can be close to one another? It's like, well, that's fun. I want them to see them close, but yeah, it's like, well, did you ever think, okay, well, now what comes next? Not just close, but overtakes, and we just don't see that much. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So it ended up being kind of obviously a lot happening, and we'll get into it. But I guess for my top 5, I think the standout, obviously, when you look at the final race standings and completely deserved to be where he was, is Isaac Hadjar. I mean, great qualifying performance and backed it up in the race. I know it's, like we were saying, it's a difficult track to overtake on, but he could have been baited into some bad moves, or, I don't know, just getting off track a little bit like Lewis did. And, he's out of the race. He didn't. He stayed calm. He was composed and totally looked like he deserved to be there. So great first podium for him. Really impressive weekend. Then I got to go with sister team, Max Verstappen. I mean, once again, proving how good he is. Nobody's anywhere near the McLarens except for him. The fact that he stuck it out on the outside, controlled his back end, completely stepping out on that opening lap, opening first corner. I mean, just incredible skill. Yeah, I mean, he's just impressive. And so it was another good performance.
His start was just so much fun to watch.
Does he have 99% of his team's points? I mean, what the heck? It's just crazy.
Yeah, I know, because everybody's talking, the key stat is Hadjar has more points this race than the second Red Bull seat has all season, And Yuki came in ninth, right? Was it ninth? Yeah, I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Something like that, but yeah.
So finally got up into the points in that car. So, yeah, I mean, just great race from Max. Great weekend again at his home race. Everybody there obviously loved to see it. So impressive. Then I'm going to go with another rookie in Ollie Behrman. Dude started last, change of power unit, I think, and ended up in the top 6. I mean, kid's good in that Haas. He's been really solid. And, a lot happened. 3 DNFs from kind of top 5 runners, pretty much. But, you still got to make it through the race. And this was not an easy one to get through. So I think good work from Behrman. Another counterpart up in the top 5 that we don't usually see or wouldn't regularly see, I have Alex Albon. I think kind of similar to Behrman, made his way through this race pretty well. He obviously didn't have an ideal qualifying. Started back from his teammate a ways, but I mean, where was Sainz? Where did he end up?
Right.
So, I mean, pretty solid from the Williams driver to get up into the top 5. And they're now well ahead of Aston, I think. So, for the 5th spot in the constructor standing. So, and I think he has most of those points. I mean, Sainz really has been nowhere this whole season. So
he has, and this was a good race. I mean, I think Sainz was pissed at his conflict with Liam Lawson. And, I kind of go back and forth on that because it's a poor track. I don't think Lawson was doing anything wrong necessarily. It's like, well, let him go. Maybe he's faster. But I'm like, Liam's like, hey, fuck you. You kind of have to believe like you're the guy, Why would I ever let somebody pass, And poor track. Plus, these drivers have been very vocal about some of this stuff, cut down on the danger in a sense. It's like, hey, your wheel was in front of his. That's him. You have to back off. I didn't want to, and I was pissed. But I'm like, there's a lot of things going on here, and to me, it's a wash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think Sainz fully deserved that 10-second penalty that he ended up getting. But if we're placing blame, I give him 60% of that. I think he's a little bit more at fault. You're forcing the issue here, and Lawson is just kind of trying not to get overtaken. Right. And so I don't think he did anything dirty or untoward.
Right. I say let them race, but if you're not going to let them race and you're going to call a penalty, and I think the drivers have had, like I said, have been pushing for some of this stuff, And so they're partly to blame. If you're going to...
Yeah, agreed. And then I guess just to round out my top 5, I don't know. This is a tough one. I think I'm gonna give it to Oscar though. I think he ran a great race. He got the Grand Slam.
Yep.
I mean, he was clearly unfazed, I guess, by Lando once again. Just raced his race, and really, Lando never actually got particularly close.
Yeah, I mean, he would kind of restart. I mean, there were some moments, but yeah, it was. You always sort of felt that Oscar was fully in charge, and he would have stayed that way. Even had Lando not had the rare DNF. But yeah, I think Grand Slam is a bit of a bogus stat. It's like, yay, you have the very best car. Good for you. But you still got a teammate you got to race against, and he beat him in qualifying, beat him in the race. So okay, yeah, Isaac, Max, Ollie Behrman, Alex Albon, Oscar. I think 15 races in, we're really starting to see what some of these rookies can do and cannot. I mean, Hadjar with the absolute worst start of any of the rookies at the start of the season, I think he's been sort of the standout. And then Ollie Behrman at Haas, he's really showing it. Liam Lawson, I count him as a rookie. He and, maybe Bortoletto, okay. Antonelli is just, I don't know. I think maybe there's just a lot of pressure. That's a button-down team. Mercedes, highly professional, high expectations. Maybe it's getting to him a bit. He just has not looked good the last few months. Yeah, and then the whole doing Cole Pinto thing is just, I don't expect that they're back, but yeah. Okay. Now, driver standings, a bit different. Oscar 309, and with Lando's DNF, Lando now 275. That's 25. That's 36 points, which is a lot when you're both driving the same car, and there's 9 race weekends left. But if you do the math, less than 4 points per weekend is what Lando needs to make up, which he absolutely can do. Third is Verstappen, way back there, 205. Let's look. You said 99%. I'm sure it's not 99, but Red Bull has... Wait, are my numbers right? Red Bull has 214 points. Oh my God, I think my numbers are correct. Which means Max has 205.
Max has 205.
Can you?
So that's 9 points. So yeah,
what the hell? It's a spending cap. Why not even just not race the second car? Think of how much money they could spend on making that car better, of putting Max in a proper fight. Why even bother? There must be a rule like, hey, except for certain circumstances, because Haas has done it, you got to race both cars. But at this point, I'd be like, hey, just ditch that second car. Just have Max out there. And all that money you save, woof, get him a rocket ship. Dang, 205. That's
90. So that's over 95%, right?
Wow. That is, oof. Russell, not too far back at 184. His teammate Kimi Antonelli, only 64, less than half, almost less than a third.
Aside from a teammate who scores, 0 points or whatever, 95% has to be probably the highest, points percentage ever, pretty much. Who?
We're 15
who else could have ever done that? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I mean, Yuki, look, we know what Yuki can do. He's a veteran middling driver, but wow. Russell in fourth, 184. Antonelli, his teammate, barely more than a third at 64. Leclerc in fifth at 151. Hamilton, man, a bad weekend, but he's been having several bad weekends since joining Ferrari. Hamilton not terribly far back at 109. So, now, I thought when this started, back 4 weeks, practice, Lando looked really good. And I was like, here's where we're going to see it. Because he always puts pressure on himself. He always has doubts, but he's the guy. He's been in McLaren longest. They all love him. They want him to win. We all know this. Practice, he looked good. And I'm like, see, Hungary, he flipped the script. He knows he can win this. He knows he's the better driver. He's going to take it to Oscar. Then boom, Oscar gets qualifying. Oscar gets pole. Oscar wins. Lando has a DNF. It's like, dang, that's a tough weekend,
Yeah, I guess it happens when you're in that title fight. You gotta deal with it and figure out how to bounce back. I mean, we saw first race of the season. They looked completely in control. Oscar was coming at Lando, and then boom, the rain starts and they're on slick tires and Oscar just goes flying off into nowhere. I mean, and then look what he's done since. He came back and now he's leading the championship by 34 points or whatever it is. I mean, it can happen. And like you said, 4 points a week or 4 points a race is not that outrageous for Orlando to make up. I mean, right. If you come 1-2, right, that's a 7-point spread.
Yep. And we have like 2 sprints left, I think, something like that. I don't know. There's one coming new. Yeah. So, yeah, that's less than 4 a weekend. So, yeah. Now, yeah, the opposite is Isaac Hedger. I mean, you had him your best driver of the week. I mean, that was great for a rookie. He got on the podium because it's first ever because of Lando's DNF, but still, he looked good in the race. He raced his race. His 15 points for P3, that's more than Yuki has had all season. You know? I mean, you got to assume he gets promoted to that seat. He gets the second Red Bull seat next year. Yuki is out. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee Yuki having a seat next year in F1, and obviously that leaves an open seat at Red Bull. They, tried the Lawson experiment, I guess, for a couple of races, and they didn't seem to like that a whole lot. So next man up really is Hadjar, unless they go out and sign another veteran driver like they did when they went out and got Perez. But I don't know who that would end up being or who would want to do that. The only 2 drivers that I can think of are the 2 Williams drivers and 2 former Red Bull drivers.
Yeah, I think Carlos, despite everything, would jump at the chance. He's just not happy at Williams. Believes he belongs up, in Cloud City with the Red Bull team. So I don't know. Maybe Yuki, Honda sponsors him. Honda's staying in there with Aston next year. I don't think Stroll or Alonso are leaving. They could, but he could be a reserve driver. Yeah, just seems like he's going to, I like Yuki, but yeah, he's just not getting it done. And you're not getting it done at Red Bull. What are you going to do? Go back to Racing Bulls? I guess you could, but there's no, hey, let's bring somebody new. Now, team standings. So we trashed Zandvoort, but it did give us double points for Red Bull, which used to be common, but now it's rare. We got that. Double points for Haas, double points for Aston. Shocking. The Lando DNF, Lewis. What go in the grass? That's like you don't usually see Lewis make very bad driving mistakes.
Yeah, that seemed like you should know that a little rain is coming down. It's going to be a little slick, especially on this painted surface. You're probably going to want to stay off of that. You would expect that with all his experience, he would kind of recognize that situation and not end up there. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of a weird situation. I think potentially after the long break coming back, you have a little bit of a lapse in judgment. Maybe it's frustrated just sitting behind George all this time and is trying to, find time somewhere. But yeah, that's just, he's going to be mad at himself and he's got to figure it out before Monza next week. If he doesn't get it done there, then I think the Ferrari fans are going to start turning on him because he was supposed to kind of bring in this new age at Ferrari where they kind of get back to the old ways where they're consistently winning.
Yep. Rather than the way it's been the last 20 years, which is consistently giving us the reasons why they look so bad. There's always, the driver, engine, it was a pit issue, there's always something. All right, team standings, McLaren at 584, Ferrari in P2, 260, less than half.
260.
What went wrong? These regulations were designed to give us closer racing. They were put in place so it wouldn't just be like, I was with Mercedes, the turbo hybrid era, they're just like, look, for the next decade, they're winning. Okay, just accept it. And then hope your team, your guy comes in second, third, fourth, whatever. And it looks close, actually. Once you get past the first team, McLaren, we get a lot of good battles. Like I said, Aston double points this week, Haas double points this week. Yeah, McLaren's, and they get their power unit from Mercedes. McLaren's ruining this for us. This finally these regulations. This should be a battle for everything, and it's not. They have 584, Ferrari 260, less than half. I mean, it's just Mercedes 248 right there. If Kimi Antonelli was delivering the way he's supposed to, Mercedes would be comfortably in second place. Still not close to McLaren, but still, they would be comfortably in second. And like I said earlier, he's barely bringing a third of the points. Then Red Bull, 214. Max, same thing. If it was even 70-30, they'd be in second, So that's kind of the tale of this year after McLaren's dominance. It's the second driver. And then Williams far back at 80. But in the mid-pack, it's a bit of a battle. Aston 62, Racing Bulls, thanks to Hadjar, 60, Sauber 51. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think those teams are quite interesting because I think Haas to me almost seems like the most consistent of all of those teams, where they're always kind of like 8th to 12th.
Right.
And a lot of these other teams are like, they're like 11th to 19th, but then every 4 races, they're in the top 5. You're like, what the hell's going on here?
Right.
And so they just get like a big ass haul of points. And so, that leaves Haas way down in a lowly 9th. But I think driving pretty well. Like Haas has looked pretty good this season, I think.
Now, blinking on the team principal's name, he took over. He was in second. He was the second guy there after Gunther.
Ayao Komatsu.
Yeah, that's it. And not like they're in 5th, but they're battling. And as you said, they're consistent. When you look at what their car is, the resources they have, they may be the best run team dollar for dollar. Every week they bring it. There's not like, as you said, P5 one week, P15 the next week kind of a thing. So they bring it. Whereas, we talked about Ferrari year in, year out, some mistakes. I mean, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder, like you said, if Lewis doesn't deliver at Monza, is the experiment already over before we've even finished year 1? Oh, we're bringing Lewis Hamilton. He's the guy. Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari. This is can't miss. This is when George Lucas brought, hey, let's reboot Star Wars. We're gonna start when Anakin is a little kid, and everybody goes there. What the fuck is this? I'm like, what is this shit? What is this? You had everything. Or then Disney gets back into Star Wars. No, it's Disney. We're bringing back everybody. We got Luke. We got Leia. We got Han. We got Chewie. We got C-3PO. We got R2-D2. This and this Disney money and Disney professionals. And you go watch it. What is this shit? This is shit. Who's this kid? Who was this guy? Why is he killing? What's going on? Who are the bad guys here? And why are they bad? We don't know dick. It's shit. And I don't know. That's Lewis at Ferrari. I'm just saying it shouldn't be.
That's right. This is an F1 podcast.
Right.
Yeah,
it should not be. But that's what this is.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Monza, that I think is the telltale. So I don't know. We gotta hope Lewis brings it, Ferrari brings it. That is their season, I think. So
we'll see. And then Lewis's former team, Mercedes, I won't say I was shocked, but a little surprised. Total Wolff said, no, George and Antonelli are both back next year. I was like, oh, I know this is a ruthless, brutal sport. It's, throwing a rookie in there. It's like you're throwing the lamb into the wolves kind of a thing. But I don't know. 15 races in, I'm like, okay. I'm sure he'll get better, but I'm not so sure he'll get Mercedes better. So anyway, do you have a biggest winner, biggest loser of the race? I mean, I think biggest loser has to be Lando, but because he wouldn't have won. He would have come in P2. Nonetheless, that's 18 points in a championship fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think we already kind of mentioned the other 2 drivers that would be up in the biggest loser category. I think that's Antonelli and Lewis. I mean, Antonelli was kind of a, what the fuck you doing, kid?
Yep.
Kind of moment.
That was, man. So I love Charles. Ugh.
Yeah, so that was tough. And then Lewis, I mean, yeah, I think you got one race left now, and you got to prove it. Like, prove why you're there, that you are going to be beneficial for Ferrari in some way, all these things. And so this was a tough race back. He's gotta figure it out. But yeah, those three guys I think are having a tough, or had a tough weekend. I mean, as far as winners, obviously Oscar putting a little bit of distance between himself and Lando in that title fight. I think Hajar naturally getting up on the podium, big winner. I think Toto having a little bit of a laugh there. He's got George doing well, Mercedes doing well, and Hamilton screwing up. I mean, he had a fun weekend, I think. Toto did. So
funny. All right, switching to the soft compound. The team. That's what we say here in Michigan. The team. Should Cadillac be our new favorite team, Patrick? They are American, and unlike Haas, they will be mostly American. They will have resources, top-level people, all here in America. They will have a presence here in America, and it's not fly-by-night. I mean, Haas joined. Credit to Haas. Credit to Gene Haas. Joined when just before the rocket was about to take off. Okay. For Cadillac to get in, they had to grease the wheels. They had to give every team $45 million. That's $450 million. They're on the hook probably for at least $1 billion. Development, wind tunnel, all the resources, all the hiring, all the branding. They signed 2 veteran drivers to multi-year contracts, supposedly. I don't know. I might have to have a new favorite team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they should be everybody's favorite team here. And so they have to come out of the gate pretty quickly. I'm not saying they got to win, but they need to be competitive. They need to go and muck it up with Red Bull and Mercedes and Ferrari and McLaren. They need to be up there.
I would be shocked. To me, it's like they're going to finish 11th next year. Do you think they would be better than that? I would be pleasantly surprised.
I think they have to be.
Wow.
I think it's a failed experiment if they are anything worse than P5.
Wow. I think that's too tough. I just don't see that happening. To me, it's like, well, you should be able to beat Alpine. They're in disarray. Kicks will be taken over, becomes Audi next year, right? But they've been working towards this moment for a couple of years now. They've got a couple of years head start. And with an existing team, I don't know. If they come in better than 10th, I will be shocked.
Yeah, I just think Cadillac and GM has plenty of racing pedigree. Obviously, with Chevrolet in Indy and NASCAR, Cadillac on the World Endurance Tour. I mean, they have experience and they have resources. They have spent a lot of time and effort building their kind of package in order to enter F1. They signed reasonable drivers. I see no reason for them to be worse than Alpine, Haas, Sauber.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Racing Bulls. There's no reason for them to be worse than these teams.
I'm going to give them 2 years. See what they do in 2026 and 2027. And by 2028, I think they should be fighting for 5th. So that's kind of my view. We'll see. And they signed, like you said, they signed Perez. They signed Bottas, veteran drivers. They're both, though, old in F1 terms. And in my view, middling drivers. They're fair. Bottas has a lot of wins, more wins than most drivers in F1 history, simply because he, for 6-7 years, was in the best car in F1 history. I don't know. Who do you think will be better? Perez or Bottas?
Oh, that's interesting. I think Bottas will be better. I think he's a better driver. I think this year almost lets him off the hook a little bit. And so he won't have that chip on his shoulder. I mean, he's already publicly said, like, yeah, everybody needs to apologize to me. I'm like, fuck you, dude. You were still shit.
Yeah, right.
Max still outscored you by 200 goddamn points. I mean, like, just because a rookie Liam Lawson couldn't get it done for 3 races and a really mediocre Yuki Tsunoda can't get it done,
right?
Like, doesn't mean that you were good.
right.
It just means that you're also bad like them.
Yeah, right. I always just thought he was fair. He was a fair driver,
I think it feels like he has this mentality like, it's fine. People need to respect me and I don't need to prove it. I don't need to prove why they need to respect me, that kind of thing. And I think Bottas doesn't really give a shit. He's just going to go out there and race and do whatever.
Because I just think Bottas is a better driver. I don't think either is great, but my money's on Bottas because I think he's a better driver. So we'll see. I mean, I think this whole evolution, when we first started this and we're talking about 11th team, nobody believed us. When we started talking about 12th team, that, oh, you're crazy. And now we're going to have 11th team next year. It seems inevitable we'll have a 12th team. And the next thing that we've been preaching about, and for me, I just follow what the NFL does because it is by far the richest sporting league in the world ever. And that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants more money. They want NFL money. They're like, what the hell is this sport? These guys, boom, they hit each other and then they stop. They hit each other and stop. What is this? And it's making more. But it's like the NFL works very hard on certain things where it's like, we're going to make every weekend matter. And we don't see that in F1. Does every weekend matter? I mean, look, McLaren's way out ahead of everyone. Then what happens next if you finish P2, P3? But what F1 has done over the past few years, and which we have talked about and pushed for, is this notion of parity. And the NFL, it's like, look, if you were the worst team last year, this year you have the easiest schedule. This is how much money we make from television, which is billions. We split it evenly. So a small market team like Buffalo gets just as much money as Chicago or Los Angeles, for example. And they're always working the rules. I mean, and you look at the F1, they've got the spending cap they put in place. They're making regulations where it's like, we want cars to be able to be closer to one another and hopefully eventually pass. They give you more development time, more wind tunnel time. Now I heard, starting, I think it's next year, I think they're going to do every 6 race review. It's like, oh, look, these teams are kind of falling behind. What do we need to do for them to push them up? And a lot of older fans are like, oh, what are you turning this into a spec series? What do there should be the absolute best cars, engineering, drivers. Let every team pour as much money as they want into it. It's like, well, that is a legitimate view. But if you're the owner of a sport, you just want to keep, rising the tide. And I think this is what F1 is doing. And we've been talking about this for years, which is why, even though I disagree with you on Cadillac that they'll do well next year, I can see within 2 years they'll be fighting for 5th. And if they're serious, by 2030, they can be fighting for, the first 3.
Yeah. I mean, I think given the European nature of F1 and kind of where it started, it's a lot different than typical kind of American sports and sports leagues and the way that it seems like most European sporting leagues function is just like, there is no cap. There's no desire for parity. It's just let the big team grow and spend the most. They have the most fans. You see it in all the soccer leagues throughout Europe. There's 1 to 4 teams that just spend way, way, way more than anybody else. And obviously they're going to be better. And so that's kind of how F1 has worked. And that's why Ferrari and now, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, they're far and away the best teams. It's because they spend more than everybody else. But it has been nice to see over the last several years, and hopefully moving forward, a lot of those gaps kind of coming down. We see Williams and Haas and Aston, they're still well off the top 5 in terms of total points, but consistently battling for 4 points. And I think it's good to see some of those scraps. And then every once in a while you get a race like this where, Racing Bulls comes on the podium and you get 2 Haas cars in the points, a Williams in the top 5. I think these types of races were a lot fewer and farther between, 5-10 years ago. So it's good to see kind of the progression of the sport.
I don't follow soccer, but here in the U.S., there's 30 plus NFL teams. There's 30 plus NBA teams. There's 30 plus Major League Baseball teams. In F1, there's 10 teams. Next year, as we predicted, there's going to be 11 teams. In 2020-30, as we have predicted, there will be 12 teams. That's still less than half of, say, the NFL teams, which is just in the U.S., or Major League Baseball, just in the U.S. 12 teams around the world. I mean, some kid wants to be a Racing Bulls fan. Some kid wants to be an Aston fan, a Sauber fan, and a fan of Nico Hülkenberg, for example, maybe, or Finnish fan of Valtteri Bottas, Mexican fan of Sergio Perez. And it's like, look, if those teams or drivers can't deliver, fair enough. But if the sport can't deliver it, where it's like, hey, my guy should have a chance of winning. My team should have a chance of winning. And that sport is failing. And I think many American owners and tech money sponsors that are entering F1, I know the Europeans don't like a lot of it, but it's like, look, it's going to make the sport better, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I think we've seen for many years just an overwhelming support of 2 drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, and that's it. But now I think more and more I'm like, people are fans of Oscar and Lando. And, hey, there's, an Alonso fan or a George Russell fan or even, Carlos Sainz, Nico Hülkenberg, all these guys, like, people know who they are and like them and are fans of them, even if they're not necessarily avid fans of the sport. And I think that is a testament to kind of the sport becoming more, compact, where drivers and teams have a better chance of succeeding, and that success actually leads to like success in the sport and not just, moral victories. Like, I came in P11. That's 7 places better than my average finishing position, like it used to be. So.
Across the line, that's our segment where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race, it's a big one. Monza, Italian Grand Prix. Ferrari needs to bring it. Lewis needs to bring it. Charles needs to bring it. Last year, Charles did bring it. He had a hell of a race, finished first, followed by Oscar and Lando. Now, in Across the Line, we make our predictions for the top 5. If our guy does finish in the top 5, we get 1 point. If he finishes in the exact spot we predicted, we get 3 points. Patrick, after how many races have we had now? 14, 15? 15, I think. What are the current standings of Across the Line?
Well, coming into this race, it was very close. You were sitting on 47 to my 46. This race, top 5, a little different. We had Piastri, Verstappen, Hadjar, Russell, Albon. Your predictions for this race were Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Hamilton, Hülkenberg. So you got 3 points for Piastri, 1 point for Russell, which brings your total to 51. My top 5 was Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen, Albon, Bortoleto. So I got 2 points, just 1 each for Verstappen and Albon. So that means I'm on 48. So current score is 51-48 in your favor.
Awesome. Who goes first?
You have first pick.
It's Monza. I got first pick. My boy Charles Leclerc.
Wow. Leclerc with the comeback. He's going to flip off Antonelli during the race, too. Alrighty, let's see. I'm going to go easy, hot hand. Give me the two McLaren drivers, Oscar and then Lando.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to go. No, I can't go. I can't go with Lewis. He's just been down. I'm going to go with Max and then George Russell.
Ooh. Then you know what? I'm going to take Lewis because I think he's going to be ready to go. Hopefully that doesn't mean he's going to go over the edge and do something ridiculous.
Right.
But we'll see. All right. Piastri, Norris, Hamilton. I don't know. Who do I want to take? Let me go with another guy who had a tough weekend. I'm going to take Carlos Sainz.
Okay. I think he had fourth last year in Monza. All right. So for my fourth, I'm going to go with Alonso. He's been looking good. And the Aston's been looking better. And in fifth, Isaac Hadjar.
Ooh. I wanted the rookie. Then, for my fifth, I'm going to take a rookie. And I think, let's see, I took Bortoletto last race. And I'm going to take Behrman on this one.
Wow, I thought
Behrman, P5.
Rookie in Italy would take the Italian Kimi Antonelli. So instead, so you have Oscar, Lando, Lewis, Carlos, and Ollie Behrman. I have Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, George Russell, Fernando Alonso, and Isaac Hadjar. Any crazy predictions, Patrick?
My crazy prediction is a disappointing prediction, I think, and has nothing to do with our across the line picks. But my crazy prediction is that Ferrari has a second straight double DNF. So both Lewis and Charles out of Monza. And when that happens, basically, immediately, Ferrari's going to fire Fred Vasseur. And the Tifosi is just going to storm the fucking track. They're just gonna jump over the fence and go, no, that would be awesome. This is unacceptable.
You can't fire Lewis or Charles, It's got to be Vasseur. So that's a good one. That is a good one. I did not have any until we started talking about getting rid of Yuki. And who do we put in that second Red Bull seat? I mean, I guess Carlos Sainz is going to want it, but he's locked down. Isaac Hadjar doesn't want it because he's like, that's a shitty car. I'm not ready for that. They're not going to bring up Liam Lawson. Here's my crazy prediction. Next year, Bottas will be back in F1. Sergio Perez will be back in F1. Daniel Ricciardo will be back in F1 at Red Bull.
Wow. That would be something.
It's funny because your crazy prediction is actually more likely to be true, even though it's just wildly crazy. So, all right. I want to thank you all for listening to everybody's most beloved father and son F1 podcast, especially Oscar's mom. Hey, you got my number. Funny. All right, son, we are lights out.
See ya. Thanks for listening.
You just finished listening to Hard Compound, recorded in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and around the world.